Every single business, from your local corner coffee shop all the way up to a global tech giant, is in this constant balancing act. It's like a perpetual tug of war between all these different groups, and they all want a piece of the action. So, who gets what they want? Let's dive in and figure it out. We've all heard this a million times, right? The business of business is business. A company's only job is to make money, full stop. But is that really the whole story? Not even close. Because as soon as you look a little closer, you realize a company's success is tied to this whole network of people, and their interests don't always line up with just the bottom line. And that's where things get really, really interesting. Okay, so the magic word here, the one that kind of unlocks this whole puzzle, is stakeholder. And look, this isn't just about stockholders, the people who own a piece of the company. A stakeholder is literally anyone who has a vested interest in what the business does. It could be the person on the assembly line, the family living next door to the factory, or even you, the person using the final product. Their lives are all touched by that company's actions. All right, to really get a grip on this, let's start from the inside out. We're going to take a peek into what I like to call the engine room of the company. Who are the people actually on the inside, keeping the lights on and the gears turning day in and day out? First up, you've got the employees. These are the folks who are the real lifeblood of the whole operation, right? Their creativity, their hard work, that's what creates the value in the first place. And what do they want? Well, it's pretty fundamental stuff. They want fair pay for their work, they want to feel secure in their jobs, and they want to feel like they're more than just a cog in a machine, that they're a valued part of the team. Then, of course, there's management. It's kind of like a ladder, a chain of command for turning big ideas into reality. Way up top, you have your senior management. They're the ones looking at the big picture, planning the strategy for the next 5-10 years. In the middle, you have the managers, who translate that grand vision into actual goals for their departments. And then on the front lines, you have junior managers, making sure all the day-to-day tasks are getting done and getting done right. It's this whole cascade of responsibility. And then, at the very, very top of that pyramid, you have the directors and the shareholders. Think of it this way. The directors are the ones steering the ship, making the big strategic calls to grow the company's market share. But the shareholders? They own the ship. They've put their money on the line, and they expect a return on that investment, either through profits paid out as dividends or by the company's value going up. At the end of the day, they both want the same thing: growth and profitability. Okay, but here's the thing. A business doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? It's not some isolated island. Its success depends completely on a whole world of people outside its own walls. So let's step outside the company and look at all the other people who have just as much skin in the game. And who's the first person you meet out there? The customer. Without them, let's be honest, nothing else even matters. And it's not just about getting the cheapest price anymore. Today's customers, you and me, we demand quality, we expect great service, and we absolutely need to know that what we're buying is safe and reliable. In the end, we're the ultimate judges, and we vote with our wallets for the company that gives us the best overall value. And you can't forget the partners who are basically keeping the lights on. Your suppliers, the folks providing the raw materials, they need regular, reliable contracts and, crucially, to be paid on time. And then you've got the financiers, the banks, the lenders. They're the ones who provided the cash to get things started or to expand, and you better believe they're watching the company's financial health like a hawk to make sure their loans get paid back. All right, let's zoom out one last time to the whole wide world. The local community. They want jobs, and they want the company to be a good neighbor, not a polluter. The government, it wants its tax revenue and for the business to play by the rules. Competitors are always watching, checking out pricing and strategy. And of course, you have unions, who are there to advocate for workers' rights and better pay. It is a very, very crowded room of different interests. So, you've got all these different groups all wanting something different. What do you think happens? Yeah, exactly. You get conflict. It's this great, inevitable tug of war, where a win for one group can feel like a direct loss for another. Let's look at the classic standoff, the one everyone talks about: employees versus shareholders. The employees are pushing for higher wages and better benefits, which makes perfect sense for their quality of life. But every single extra dollar that goes into a paycheck is a dollar that doesn't go to the bottom line as profit. And profit is exactly what the shareholders are looking for. It can feel like a total zero-sum game, right? Or how about this one? This is a dilemma we all face every single day as shoppers. As customers, we want the absolute lowest price possible for a product. But the company, it needs to keep a healthy profit margin so it can reinvest in itself, grow, and keep those shareholders happy. And every penny they drop on the price tag is a penny that comes directly out of those profit margins.
This quote just hits the nail on the head. It really sums up the whole challenge. Juggling all of these competing demands is, without a doubt, one of the hardest parts of running any business. You just can't make everyone happy all of the time. It really makes you wonder, how on earth does any company manage this?
Well, let's take a look at a real-world example. How does a massive global company like Unilever even begin to tackle this? I mean, they're dealing with all of these groups on a global scale. Turns out they have a surprisingly clear way of thinking about it. They don't try to please everyone equally. They actually prioritize. So check this out. For Unilever, it's not a free-for-all. The consumer is king. They are the number one priority. And why is that? Pretty simple, actually. Happy customers are the ones with the wallets. They're the source of all the revenue coming in. Next up are the employees, because they're the ones who actually make the products and create the services that keep those customers happy. And finally, they focus on communities, because they know that being a good corporate citizen builds a brand that people trust. But wait a minute. It doesn't always have to be this big fight, this zero-sum game of winners and losers. The really smart companies, they're always looking for common ground. They search for ways to turn all these competing interests into shared goals. They're looking for that sweet spot, the win-win. I mean, just think about it for a second. When a business decides to expand, sure, shareholders see more profit, but what else happens? The community gets more jobs, suppliers get bigger orders. See? Win, win, win. Or when a company really focuses on giving customers great value, it builds this incredible loyalty that leads to steady, long-term profits. And when employees are rewarded well, you get a motivated, productive workforce, which boosts the bottom line for everyone. It's not always a conflict. What this table really shows us is this kind of unwritten agreement, a pact of responsibility at the heart of any good business. And this isn't about charity. It's just smart, long-term thinking. Treat your customers fairly, you earn their loyalty. Invest in your employees, and you get a motivated, stable team. Pay your suppliers on time, and you build strong, reliable partnerships. It becomes this amazing, virtuous cycle, where doing the right thing for one group actually helps everyone else. Of course, sometimes you just can't find that common ground. Conflicts happen. And when they do, there's a kind of toolkit businesses can use. It usually starts with conciliation, just bringing in a neutral third party to help everyone talk, and more importantly, listen. If that doesn't work, you move to compromise, where both sides have to give a little to meet in the middle. And then, as a last resort, you have arbitration, where an independent judge makes a final decision that everyone has agreed to accept. And so, here we are, right back where we started, looking at this incredible balancing act. When every voice, every stakeholder has a totally valid claim, the choices a business makes really show you its true character. Is it only about profit, no matter the cost? Or does it understand that real, lasting success is built on a foundation of shared value? And the answer to that question, well, it doesn't just define the company. In a way, it defines the kind of world we all live in.